G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again, and today I've got a really creepy film for you, The Autopsy of Jane Doe. So we'll be looking at that in just a minute. Hey, if this is your first trip to the Diaries, thanks for joining us. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoy what we've got for you. Now, if you want to keep up with the best in horror from the world of books, movies, creepypasta and trivia, hit that subscribe button and the bell notification and you'll always be on top. Okay, Dark Realmers. Now, a movie set in a mortuary sounds creepy enough, doesn't it? Okay, well, there's much, much more to this movie, and we're going to look at it right now. Yeah. Now, in this creepy little outing, Dark Realmers, Brian Cox plays a coroner, and Emile Hirsch plays his son, Austin, and they run a family type well, I suppose you could call it a traditional business. They're the county coroners, and Tommy's the official coroner, and his son Austin is studying to be a coroner or work his way up to that position, and he's currently studying, pardon me, as a medical technician. Now, Sheriff Sheldon goes to investigate a murder scene, and he finds a body in the basement that doesn't tie in with anything that's connected to this murder, and asks them could they do an autopsy and find out a bit more about this body. Now, Austin is planning a night out at the movies with his girlfriend, but he says he'll stay back and help, and that was a big mistake, Dark Realmers. Yeah. Now, this is a truly great movie. It's one of the best horror ones you'll see because it subtly builds up atmosphere, okay? And because they're, performing an autopsy, and we're there, we're like the fly on the wall. We get to see Tommy interact with his son and ask him questions. Okay, why would this happen? What could this be? Those sort of things. So we get the answers to the mysteries of this body at the same time they do, which is a really nice touch. Now, the movie really builds up the creep. Pardon me. One of the big problems that a lot of horror reviewers like myself have with horror movies today is the overuse of, the scare jump, where something happens, creepy music, and then ba-ba-bum, and it gets so overworked and so overdone in the movie that we, as an audience, build up like shock fatigue. When the final reveal comes, we're just over it, okay? And movies lose their impact, but not with this. And that's because everything that happens is very subtle, okay? But it's frightening. Now, there's a storm going on. Now, you can imagine that the setting, this mortuary, is very claustrophobic. It feels, really closed in. And the fact that, we as an audience who have no experience with dead bodies or anything are creeped out anyway at this body on the slab is enough. But there's strange things that happen, like the storm starts playing havoc with the radio and it starts changing channels, and you start thinking, oh, hello, could this be a message? Is everything that's being jumped to forming a message, or is it just the storm? That's very good, okay? Now, they find out some very strange things about this body. There's peat under the fingernails, okay? Now, that doesn't come about locally, it's something they find in gardening centres and so forth like that. Why would she have peat under her tongue? Has been ripped out, but not surgically. It's, they find her bones are shattered. All these strange things that don't relate to her cause of death, but show something more. Now, the mystery of Jane Doe, and it's a brilliant title, Dark Realmers, because we don't know who she is, but we know what she is, and that's what's frightening. Because as the tension builds up, we see more and more creepy things happen. And it's Austin who works out what's happening, okay? Even though his father is very rational and very, no, that can't be right. But there are things that happen that do scare us, that's just not possible, okay? For a start, and I'm not going to give you any spoilers, as you know, Dark Realmers, Why is this body, when they cut, bleeding? That shouldn't happen. You know, it goes against the laws of physics because she's dead. Your blood stops flowing. It coagulates, you know, and thickens in your veins. Sorry if you're eating meat at this particular time, Dark Realmers, but things like that. And we find out a lot about this Jane Doe and the consequences for Tommy and Austin are just terrifying. Okay, there are wonderful scenes where they're running away from the autopsy room and trying to escape some sort of presence. It's very, very subtle in the way it does it. It doesn't rely on, you know, building up all those shocks that you get in movies and then letting you down. The revelation about what Jane Doe is just stunning. Okay, now Austin and Tommy, as I said, played by Brian Cox and Emile Hirsch, are just wonderful in this. They are so convincing as father and son. Their performances and their reactions to everything that happens to them is just brilliant. And there's smaller performances by an actress who plays Austin's girlfriend, you know, who comes to pick him up, and she wants to have a look at the autopsy room, you know, and the bodies, and he, you know, told me it's not really something you want. No, I'm curious. Well, she's really brave because no. And this is happening at the beginning, okay? And there's some wonderful mise-en-scenes there, which I've explained before, and little shots or little, cutaways that look innocent at first, but then they explain something a bit later on, okay? And there's a wonderful scene, I won't tell you, but there's a scene where they show her a body and it's got a bell around its toe. Okay, now here's a bit of historical fact for you, Dark Realmers. In the olden days, they didn't have the procedures to check whether someone was truly dead, you know, like EEG and all that sort of thing. So they'd tie a bell around the corpse's toe, and if the bell rang, it showed that there was movement still in the body, and that they may not be dead. They may be just catatonic, or, you know, suffer from narcolepsy. That plays brilliantly into that movie, Dark Realmers, that scene just there. Now, the lighting is brilliant. It gets us into that mood of that storm. It gets us into that feeling of, are they trapped? There's a wonderful scene there too, where, like I said, it doesn't use a lot of jump scares, but there's a scene where their family cat, okay, jumps through the vent and brings a dead rat in, okay? Totally innocent, but it takes on a very sinister context when it's, you know, the cat's jumped through into the mortuary and lays this dead rat down, you know, in front of Austin. And it's things like that that build up and build up, and it's just wonderful. Now, this is a movie I can highly recommend, because in a day and age where Hollywood is giving us slashers and movies where, you know, the plots are just very paper thin and they're not, you know, well thought out, or they're not well executed, this is so well done that it'll have you on the edge of your seat, okay? Now, this movie, Dark Realmers, you can get it on Netflix, and I thoroughly encourage you to watch it, okay? And you can also, of course, get the DVD. And it's received some wonderful reviews, you know, for it's probably one of the best horror movies that came out for 2016. You're thoroughly going to enjoy this, Dark Realmers, because not only are you getting that horror value, but you're there too, as you know, Tommy and Austin are trying to solve this mystery. Okay, and just when you think you may understand what's going on, no, something different will happen. Okay, Dark Realmers, that's my review of the Autopsy of Jane Doe. Now, it's one of those movies where I can't tell you a great deal about what happens, because everything is so connected that even a little bit of a hint may spoil something for you, especially if you're like one of those clever Dark Realmers that can sort of work out things just by giving a few clues. So check that one out for yourself, Dark Realmers. It's a great night in. Well, yeah, maybe, yeah, but not on one of those stormy nights, okay? If you live in an area where you know you're prone to blackouts when there's storms, no, don't, okay? All right, Dark Realmers, well, that's it from me, horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott. Thank you so much for joining me on this review, and I'll see you again next time on the Dark Realm Diaries. And as I always say, especially if you're working in a mortuary, stay in the light. Bye for now.